Hello everyone and watch that pig. Welcome back to Spoiler Warning featuring myself, Tom Colohue. We will be talking wrestling today with a brand new, slightly more awkward camera angle which shows that I didn't actually paint everything I was looking for. The office has been moved around a little more again so that I can start breaking things further down. Slowly but surely we will eventually have a room that everyone can really get behind. With stuff behind me that you guys can hopefully find interesting, but for now let's stick to the wrestling, shall we? Because that's why we're all here. We're going to talk an ongoing debate between CM Punk and Roman Reigns for the main event of Bad Blood. The original planned main event will be discussed, as well as why Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley is not going to be Hell in a Cell. We will focus a little bit on a number of AEW wrestlers who are under contract who have been rumoured to be coming to the WWE. Malachi Black's name will be coming up, as well as the potential extension of Rey Fenix's contract, how that affects Pentagon Jr., and a request for release from Ricky Starks and Miro. Finally, we will be touching on the two-night SummerSlam, first reported on my Twitter, though it was originally supposed to be the year after next, wasn't it? Funnily enough, saw that one coming. WWE aiming for... In fact, let's not spoil it. Let's start then with our top story, and then we can jump into the chat. Be sure to ask any questions you've got. Let us know what you're thinking about the most recent wrestling developments, and of course leave a like. 41 people here, 16 likes. Let's get those numbers going. The original planned main event for WWE Bad Blood, which will take place next Saturday, was Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk, Hell in a Cell. The main reason for this is firstly the success of the Drew McIntyre CM Punk feud, but also to mirror the first Bad Blood, which of course featured a main event of Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, Hell in a Cell. Of course, there was supposed to be a parallel here. CM Punk would be playing the Shawn Michaels role. Drew McIntyre would of course be playing the Undertaker role, but there wouldn't be a Kane expected, which is always an interesting little tidbit worth the mentioning. Roman Reigns essentially swept in and said, "Hi, I only wrestle the start and finish of shows. Make sure I'm the guy." But it's not just Roman Reigns involved in this. There is also one more player that Triple H wants to make sure is always in the main event, and that is Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is currently the WWE champion, and in order to further establish him, he's not just being paired up with the top guys, he's also being treated as the top guy. That means CM Punk and Drew McIntyre are kicked further down the show to make space for Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. It is another main event for Solo Sikoa, something that Roman Reigns has been pushing very hard for. He wants to see Solo Sikoa pushed, which is the main reason we seem to be heading towards a WrestleMania featuring Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa. A lot of fans don't want it, but Roman Reigns is the only person that the WWE care about when it comes to Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa at WrestleMania. As regards this main event change, there's a whole lot of wrestling media making a living off of this one. It's fairly easily said. As I explained a while back, Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk was going to be the main event. The arrival of Roman Reigns naturally changes everything. There is still a possibility that fan backlash will change their mind, so if you're not happy, let them know. As we did here recently, Triple H reads Twitter, so, never go quietly. Never go quietly. 59 people watching, 25 likes. Please keep those going as I start to connect with the chat. Welcome everyone, good to see you. That popped up and it shouldn't have. Spider-Boss says, do you know what's next for Mercedes Money on AEW? Fairly simple on this one. Mercedes Money is essentially in a waiting pattern until Julia Hart is ready to come in and kick her in the face. Sean says hi Tom. Welcome Sean. Michael says hi Tom as well. Welcome Michael. Spider-Boss says, reading a little bit about the Netflix doc on Vince McMahon. Really good that Vince isn't in wrestling anymore. Yeah, I've covered a lot of what's in the documentary extensively. For those who weren't aware, you can check out my video on whether Vince McMahon will get fired or not, where a lot of what's covered in the documentary does pop up. John says, from PWInsider, Alexa Bliss is not currently scheduled for any immediate return as of now, according to WWE creative sources. One source even remarked that they didn't expect her to return until after their holiday season, that with the current creative regime they maximise everything they do, so there's no need to rush anyone or any story onto television. This is something that I've also been reporting and can thus confirm. There was no pressure on Alexa Bliss. She's ready to return. They are waiting for the creative to line up. Now, I'm seeing it reported that PWInsider has said she won't be back until 2025, but as you've just shared there, Sean, after the holiday season could potentially mean after Thanksgiving. So just want to throw that one out there, that it's not as cut and dry as many seem to be reporting it. Ian says, we watch the pig, now it's time to feed the pig, feed it more. Bliss Gamer says, if Alexa Bliss returns at the 2025 Royal Rumble, it would have been 735 days since she was on WWE. She's been off creating a life, so I can't blame her. Corey, thank you very kindly for another very generous donation. Says, generally I would ask about Motor City Machine Guns and Lucha Bros, but so upset with AEW that I will not be consuming their product anymore. Strong there, Corey. We will be discussing that a little bit later. We would naturally be distrustful of pretty much anything Dave Meltzer says. You're all aware of that. There is a reason I believe this one that I will get into shortly. What I will say as well, please remember that you can reply to or hit like on Corey's generous donation. So please do consider it. Corey, you've been sorry, I'm overdoing that. You've been donating a hell of a lot recently, and I very much appreciate you for it. Thank you kindly. It's been a very good time for this channel. You are a part of that. A big part, in fact. Leon says, hi Tom, hope you're doing well. Doing very well, thank you. Small issue that I do just want to mention. As I'm ripping up some of the floor in this office, pardon me, as I'm ripping out some of the walls in this office, the dust being created is starting to settle on my lungs a little bit. So I did have to spend a few days out of this room. It's been a difficult one because I definitely started to feel it, and I was definitely waking up with some of the dust coming back up and feeling it on my lips. I've not been as prepared as I should be. So I stepped away from the office for a couple of days. This was also one of the reasons I didn't do spoiler warning on Monday, then got it deep cleaned properly, and I'm going to have to not be as intense as I have been. So yeah, I'm good. I'm good. But I did just want to make people aware of that one because what the hell. Shark Game says, happy Friday, Tom. Got a question for you and the chat to help boost the rate. What's the earliest match that you remember watching? Mine is Malenko versus Kidman on a random Nitro, my first match ever. Great question, Shark Game. I appreciate you opening that up for the chat as well. 76 people here. Let me know what is the first match you can remember watching. Mine is from just before SummerSlam 1998. It is Tag Team Championship Fatal 4-Way. Steve Austin and The Undertaker defending against Mankind and Kane, who won the championship, the New Age Outlaws, and The Rock and D'Lo Brown. Can literally find it, August 1998. That is when I first walked downstairs and found my mother and my stepdad at the time watching wrestling, and I was like, what the hell is that? Why is he big and red? And why does he keep being called a machine? Breathed in too deep there. Iris says, good to see you, Tom. Hope you're having a good day. Good day so far. Thank you kindly. Hope you are as well. Wrestler fan said, is Gunter versus Sammy? And the answer is yes. Mary says, hey Tom, how you doing? Hope you got some news on who you think, or if you know, who is winning at Bad Blood. If Roman and Cody lose, who is getting pinned? Any ideas? I will be doing a full video on this on Wednesday, where I will share all of the last minute news, rumours and predictions for Bad Blood. So check that out. It'll give you every detail that I've got. Say yeet. He did it. Jey Uso is your new ICE champion. Do you feel him, sir? What's the Rick Ucchino, a good guy. Wrestler fan says Gunter versus Sami Zayn happening at Bad Blood 2024. It is not currently on the card. Ed says, hey Tom, reporting for duty. Thank you kindly, Ed. Good to see you, sir. Ross says, evening all. King Arthur says, Tom, I can see Roman getting pinned by Solo at Bad Blood. Stranger things have certainly happened, and as I did just mention, Roman wants to push Solo. Hector says, afternoon Tom, it's a little odd that Tony Khan did decide to add time to Rey Fenix's contract. I know there was no concrete info that said he wouldn't, but it feels like a slap in the face to Rey. More on that one shortly. Ray says, different Ray, Says, what is the match you're looking forward to most at Bad Blood? I'm really excited for the Hell in a Cell. I really am. I think they could make some absolute magic. The feud's been fantastic so far, and I want to keep it going. Sean says, your thoughts on Jay winning the IC title? I'm really happy about it. Really happy about it. I did not expect it. I thought Bron Breakker would be holding on to it for a while. But Jey Uso has been always the bridesmaid, never the bride for a bit too long. So I'm glad the moment finally came. If you are happy that Jey Uso is currently an Intercontinental Champion, drop a yeet in the chat. Dylan says, Tom, I don't know how true this is, but according to Zero News, it's not. He says that Jay's Intercontinental Championship run isn't going to be very long. Just wondering, is it reliable or is he full of... Zero News has been proven unreliable on a number of different occasions. I've myself dug into it quite extensively. I am yet to see anything of major news proven right. He hasn't been able to confirm things like my report on Roman Reigns returning at SummerSlam, for example. He hasn't really reported anything ahead of time. And yeah, I'm still not over the fact that he reported the Royal Rumble would end with a stare down between Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock, and neither of them were there. Lucha says, hello and blessings from Jacksonville, Florida. Been there. Huge fan of yours. Been sharing your content in Spanish and, of course, making sure they follow you too. I appreciate you, Lucha. I'm very happy with that. I've got someone who does the same in German, so I'm more than happy to work with you if you want to reach out and have a conversation about that and see what we can make happen. Appreciate it. Brad says, hey, Tom. Welcome, Brad. Spider Boss says about Julia Hart, when we could see a return to AEW. She's nearly cleared. She's been appearing backstage on a number of occasions. Spider Boss says, with lack of top opponents for Nia on SmackDown, would be cool to see the return of Charlotte Flair. The moment is coming. Sean says, do you see Joe Hendry being Nick Nemeth for the TNA World title? Yes, I do. Spider Boss says, about the Netflix doc, Vince is one weird guy. Storyline he wanted to do with his own daughter was just sick. You are not wrong. Not wrong at all. Michael says, when I was a kid, I didn't even watch the wrestling. All I cared about was the shenanigans, mostly Stone Cold. Sean said, did you know if Cody was planning to defend his title at Bad Blood? No, this was always the plan. Spider-Boss says, Jey Uso winning the IC title I didn't see coming. People on social media only complain when someone from the Inoue family wins championships. People on social media complain about everything. Sean drops a yeet. Spider-Boss says, when I was a kid, I loved watching Eddie and Chavo Guerrero with the lie, cheat, steal. Falling behind a little bit on YouTube, so let's catch up on that side. Calvin said, do you think Triple H may have a personal vendetta against Austin Theory? No, because he's trying to turn him face. Donnell says, why does Roman always want the main event? It is literally in his contract. He either opens or closes the show. The man knows what's good for him. Mary says, I hate the idea that Solo pins anyone. Jacob Fatu is better than him. So would you rather Jacob Fatu pin Cody? Dad says, big up Tom, do you know when Adam Copeland could be back in AEW? Not for a while. It's a pretty serious injury. Tid says, Natalia confirmed to have signed a new WWE contract. I've been waiting for it. She never stopped working with the WWE. It was always a matter of time. Corey says, all good. Sorry, frustrated with AEW. You don't need to be sorry. You absolutely don't. Aaron says, Baron Corbin will be having a Charlie Haas gimmick, as in Team Angle. Calvin said, did you see how Josh Alexander planted Steve Macklin with that spike? Nope. Mary says, do you feel Roman will win the championship back, or is it Randy Orton? He is my choice. Personally, I go with Randy Orton. King Azza's first match is John Cena vs JBL, WrestleMania 21. Ed says, I first watched a match involving HBK in the very early 90s. If it was against Brett, that's always a good time to be alive. Drive-By says it's Roman's first match back since Mania. He should main event. Drew and Punk have already had 2 matches, neither of which, though, the main event. Good to see so many of you saying thank you to Corey. I appreciate all of you for doing that and spreading that love. Chris said Julia versus Roxanne Perez for NXT Women's Championship will be the opening match of next week's NXT on the CW, and there'll be plenty of CM Punk snuck in there as well. Dylan says, first match I watched was a world title battle royal after Batista vacated the title. Kurt Angle run, but first person I saw when flipping through the channel was Rey Mysterio. Cecil says, Tom, good to see you. Where are we with the Wyatt 6? And thanks for your stream. There's a lot of people waiting for the Wyatt 6 to get where they need to be. There's some development happening backstage, some replanning, and they're about ready to go into their second phase. So, going well. Aaron says, where's Baron Corbin? Wrestling on SmackDown, just not very actively. There's not really many plans for him, but they don't want to let him go. Personally, I do think he may need a refresh to get his career going again, because he does have a huge amount of potential, and for some reason Triple H just doesn't really back him. Ray says mine is Hulk Hogan versus Sergeant Slaughter. Chris is yeeting. Danielle says why did Jey Uso win the IC title? Because Triple H told him to. Aaron says any news on if Ricky's under consideration for an actual contract? More on that shortly. Ray says I was surprised to see Jey Uso winning the IC title. And then Carmelina, Jon, Matthew, Daz, Marcel, Sledgehammer, Bliss Gamer, Dylan and Brad Becker all yeet in a row. Kevin says one person probably going to celebrate about Jey Uso. Jey Uso's win is Rikishi. Dylan's also drops a yeet, as does Cecil. Hector says, sorry, I'm just catching up. Now Jay can make that a point next time Jimmy appears that he won a singles title. First good storyline point there. I mean, there's been a lot of good storyline points as regards Jey Uso, but this certainly is a build towards Jimmy. Ishii says, hey Tom, hope you're okay. Doing very well, thank you Ishii. Welcome to the show. And Villain says, happy Friday Tom. Question, when can we expect to see the GOAT Paul Heyman back of his tribal chief on screen? Personally, I'd expect him to be there before War Games. King Azza says, if Roman and Cody have their rematch, Cody will be booed and Roman will be cheered, which I'd imagine is why it hasn't happened. I'm a villain yeets as well, but Ed does not yeet. He does not yeet in protest. Dylan says, now that Jay's the IC champ, do you see him getting involved with the Bloodline for War Games? I already saw him being involved with the Bloodline for War Games. KJ says, what's up Tom? Did I miss anything big yet? I've got a few questions for you. I don't know what we're doing, but yeet. You've missed the top story, but we'll be getting to more very shortly. I just fell a little bit behind on the YouTube, so I'm catching up. Ishii says, do you see any Wyatt 6 teasers tonight? Yes. Mary says, Tom, who do you got at Crown Jewel? Is Roman and Cody going to be there? And do you know who will they be fighting against? Hope so, because I'll be going to Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia. I do not have any information on that. Unfortunately, Saudi Arabia seems to be late planned this year. Aaron says, Randy Orton turns on Kevin Owens, joins Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, forms a new legacy. There are no plans for that. Austin Theory will not be with Grayson Waller for much longer. Ross also drops that yeet. Drive-by says, Roman is scheduled for most weeks between now and Survivor Series. Do you think we could see The Rock return before then? Personally, no, I do not. KJ says, Nia has top challenges, but WWE may not want to pin Bianca or Jade. You've got Bayley and Naomi. That's big enough, at least for now. Kevin says, what's going on with AJ Styles? As I previously reported, his last contract is a contract that he believed would be his final one. The WWE are attempting to convince him to sign a new one. Marcel says, my first match I remember was John Cena versus Randy Orton in an I Quit match. KJ is also asking for an update on AJ Styles, which I've just given. Drive-by says, first match I remember seeing was Hardy's versus Edge and Christian in a steel cage match at Unforgiven 2000. For a while, they were the entire tag division. Daz's first match was Main 2 Hogan versus Andre in a cage. Bray says, I'd love to see Natalya get a women's title run. That is not the plan at the moment. KJ says, Wyatt 6 versus Judgment Day after Bad Blood I think would be a good idea. And Daniel Perry says, what's up, everyone? Chris says, Roman Reigns said he likes the main event or the first match, as I say, in the contract. Jan says, any updates on WWE contracts? Not beyond what I've already reported. KJ says, so Tom, who does these so-called journalists got from Lucha Brothers signed to WWE to know they're not? We will be touching on that one. What I'd love to ask people, for those who saw the original source, who was the original source who reported that the Lucha Brothers had signed with WWE? Let me know where you got that news, okay? It's important. Cecil says, my first match was Dusty versus Arn Anderson. Kevin says, I hope the report is 100% true about SmackDown going to 3 hours because I want talent to get more opportunity on TV. And it is indeed true. Spiderboss says, Liv almost got KO'd after Rhea headbutted her this week. Yep, good old headbutts. Sean says, with Stephanie Vaca now in the picture, do you still see Julia winning? Also, it was confirmed Roxanne versus Julia will open the NXT premiere on CW. Yes, I do. I think Roxanne will be moving up very shortly. Spiderboss says, I hope with Mercedes Money's return to TV on AEW, the AEW Women's Division starts to get TV time again, or continues to. Maria May is still getting TV time. Michael says, do you think Cora Jade returns next week in Chicago? Yes, I do, though I don't necessarily think it'll be in Roxanne's corner. Spiderboss says, first match I saw in WWE was Triple H versus Kurt Angle on SmackDown in 2000. A great time. Spiderboss says, Corbin's career wasn't the same after his failed Money in the Bank cash-in in 2017. Many gimmick changes until Corbin's rebirth on NXT. Debatable. Long after that, he did feud with Roman Reigns, and while a lot of people were fully disgusted by it, he at least felt the most like a main eventer that he ever did. KJ says, I don't know if Cody will be booed versus Roman. When they were face-to-face, the Cody chants were bigger than the OTC chants. I wouldn't like to risk it. King Heather says, I can see someone from the bloodline costing Jay the IC title. Calvin says, I'm really worried people have already lost complete interest by the time Theory and Waller split. They've dragged it for too long. KJ says, hopefully AJ signs one more deal. And yes, sorry to repeat it, someone asking about KJ, but it helps chat rate. You know what you're doing. Ed says, love seeing some of these older wrestling matches in the chat. Naturally, I only go back to 1998, but hey, there's a lot of people here who got much more recent ones as well. 89 people watching, 33 likes. Please do remember to hit that thumbs up as you join us, and be sure to drop in the chat anything you would like to discuss. Next up, just before we get to the news on the Lucha Brothers, let's talk about what the plans were for Bad Blood. There was only ever going to be one Hell in a Cell, and there was an active competition happening for that role at Bad Blood. The other match that was being considered was Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley, and of course the one we already have is Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk, as previously reported to be the intention by myself 3 months ago. Morgan versus Ripley was being considered, but the feud is said to be planned to continue, so Dominic is in a cage instead. Triple H does not want to water down the concept of the Hell in a Cell by having two of them during one show and having a feud continue after Hell in a Cell. It's one of the reasons that Edge versus Seth Rollins, and in fact Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins, ended at Hell in a Cell. So Seth Rollins will likely find some way to be involved here. Dominic's in the cage as a way to keep him separate. Expect him to be involved. I would expect some element of the China spot where she was able to bend the bars, but I think it would make much more sense if, for example, a big buff woman bends the bars instead. I'm sure you can work out who might be on my mind. Sean says, I wouldn't mind seeing Cora going after Kelani Jordan for her title. And I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here. Corey has confirmed who first reported about the Lucha Bros going to WWE. It was PWM, which I believe is Pro Wrestling Nexus, a fairly new section, and also says it was WrestleVotes, which it also was. This is WrestleVotes who reported that merch was already being created for the Lucha Bros. Now it's been confirmed that the Lucha Bros are still with AEW. I've been reporting, and I did report in fact last week, that while PWN were reporting that they had signed, I was not reporting that. I was in fact reporting that they were still under contract with AEW. This was confirmed by Fightful, which is interesting because when reporting about the Lucha Brothers, PWN also were thankful to Fightful and Fightful's managing editor Sean Ross Sapp, and then the managing editor Sean Ross Sapp rumour killed them. So I can't imagine they're most thrilled with that. Shah Game says, I saw the PWN report but didn't really believe it because they're not reliable. Then Ibu, which is Wrestling Purist, reported that Tony wouldn't be extending Ray's contract. I was also being told that Tony Khan did not want to extend Ray's contract. It was a late decision from Tony Khan. I've done some digging here, possibly in reaction to incorrect reports that Fenix and Pentagon had already signed. From what I can tell and from my understanding, Tony Khan was not happy with the reporting going round that two of his wrestlers had already signed with WWE. He was fully entitled to extend Rey Fenix's contract. He has done so. Pentagon Jr.'s deal expires in 2 months. Now, I can confirm this report for a number of reasons. Firstly, I've been told much the same, that they are still under contract. But also, while we certainly always have question marks about Dave Meltzer, I'm being told that this information came to Dave Meltzer via a very reliable source. Could well be Tony Khan himself. Tony Khan is said to have been insulted by insinuations that his wrestlers had already left. He expects them to honour their deal, and while there was a lot of goodwill, that goodwill has since vanished. He is more than happy for Rey Fenix to sit at home doing nothing. So yeah, Pro Wrestling Nexus are the ones who initially reported about the signing. WrestleVotes then added to this. I would also like to point out WrestleVotes are now working for Sportskeeda, which encourages them to, instead of just reporting news when they have it, report news constantly week on week. That is a pressure that I'm familiar with. Just going to throw that one out there. Spider Boss says on her interview with The Breakfast Club this week, Mercedes Money explained why she left WWE. Looking how AEW books and treats her, it's pretty good. Mercedes is a top star in AEW now. Yes, she is. Michael says, if I were TK, I'd be pissed if my talent negotiated with WWE while still under contract. Honestly, for that, I absolutely do not blame him. So, let's catch up still. Ray says, Sol Ruka and Jordan Grace versus Rosemary and Wendy Chu on TNA. Cool. Chris says, I see Roxanne Perez will cheat to win next week on NXT against Julia. Will says, first match was Warrior Andre. My aunt Isa bought me 3 VHSs, Warrior Hogan and WrestleMania 3. After WrestleMania 3 I was in and immediately bought WrestleMania 4, which was double VHS. Trump Tower, as I recall. Brad says, I was too young to remember my first match. Fair enough. Juan says, my first match was Rock versus Stone Cold. Also, I don't mind that TK added injury time to Rey Fenix, but since TK shouldn't have said he wouldn't. To be fair, TK didn't say he wouldn't. Others, such as myself, have said that that's the impression I was getting. TK at no point said he wouldn't. Chris says, I still think it'll be Bayley versus Nia Jackson and Naomi for the WWE Women's Championship at Bad Blood. KJ also says, I believe PW Nexus started all that Lucha Brothers stuff, then Dave milked it but then contradicted himself. Then Fightful took a chance saying it was all false. I don't know who PW Nexus is, to be fair. They gained a lot of traction on social media. They struggle to monetize, from what I can tell. I don't get a lot of traction on social media anymore. What I do is make a bit more of a living and have good shows like this. Also, good news, by the way. As I've been sharing over the last few weeks, I've been doing really well recently when it comes to the shorts and when it comes to the views. Over the last 28 days, I've averaged nearly 10,000 views per day. Number. At the beginning of the month, at the end of last month, I hit a new record for one day of 20,811 views. That record is smashed on Tuesday, 26,894 views. Over the course of the last 28 days, 277,800 views. Pardon me. Which is why so much of my focus has been on shorts. It's been working. In addition to that, 582 new subscribers. 582. I'm currently sitting at 7,266, which is an increase of 16 so far today. 28 days ago, I was on 6,669. Nice. So, yeah, things are going extremely well. Naturally, while shorts aren't necessarily high earners, that has translated into a decent amount of income. Still nowhere near enough to make a living, but it does mean that so far for the year, I'm on 564,000 views. Just over 400,000 left to hit the million. Can I do it? I don't know, but I'm damn sure going to try. Thank you to everyone who's been checking out my videos recently, shorts and otherwise. Thank you to everyone here, naturally, as well, just for giving me a shot to keep this ball rolling. For someone who didn't really believe this was ever going to be a success back in 2019 when he picked up his phone and recorded a 2-minute review of Survivor Series. I never believed it was going to work, but it did. You are to blame for it. Thank you. 84 people watching, 40 likes, please keep them coming. Ross dislikes the red cell. Can't really blame you for that one. Calvin says, since they're bringing back Saturday Night Main Event, why not bring back the Sammys too? I don't know who that is. Chris says, Raquel Rodriguez. Ray says, Li Ying Lee makes her debut in TNA, aka Xia Li. Cool. Glad to see she's found a home. Calvin says, think about it. Slammy's on Thursday night, Hall of Fame Friday night, WrestleMania on Saturday and Sunday night. Great idea, right? 24/7 all the way. KJ says, yes, WrestleVotes 2, that's equivalent to Street Trash. To be fair, Street Trash is a name that's popping up, isn't it? Dylan says, what do you think of the Rumble next year being in February? It's weird. It's real weird. Less pay-per-views naturally will impact my overall view counts and the like, and the growth of the channel. Still, we are where we are. And I do feel while this particular run of shorts and views kicked off because of the most recent pay-per-view, Bad Blood will get it going all over again. So for the next week, I'm going to do a few breathers, make a few videos, and get ready to go nuts with those shorts, because this all started during the watch party for the last show. When, as I was saying to you guys at the time, I was looking for shorts, to create shorts, to get them live, and to make it happen. I've really honed the process since, but Bad Blood will kick us into high gear again. Dylan says, Raquel likely returning next Saturday if she's all good with her skin condition, which she's apparently doing a lot better with. Lucha says, Tom, I work directly with one of Penta's promoters and confirmed that he is 100% going to WWE. Interesting. Dylan says, since Liv and Rhea didn't get the cell match next Saturday, do you see them getting it at WrestleMania if the feud is still going by then? Personally, no, I do not, but it'll be interesting to see how far this one goes. Razal says, I think it's fair that Tony extended the contract, especially considering how open a secret it was they were going to WWE. They should have been more quiet about it. I did post on Twitter one thing that's really important to me in a general rule: never tell people your next move. Michael says, and I'm aware of this as well, PW Nexus could be Boozer for all we know. Random accounts pop up all the time. I did mention a couple of weeks ago there's suddenly a lot of these accounts. For example, you've got WrestleVotes and WrestleVotes, which literally just makes things up. They don't pretend that they're not making things up, but they will tag people and it will grow that audience and they will get hundreds of thousands of views and they will start making money from Twitter for the parody. People don't have to be honest. People don't have to be right anymore. All they care about is growth. We have to fact check. And as I did mention, PW Nexus, happy to give them the benefit of the doubt. They've still got the report on Motor City Machine Guns. Let's see what happens there. More than happy to give them the benefit of the doubt. But we need to make people prove it. Spider-Boss says, I think the Rhea versus Liv rivalry will end on WWE Saturday nights on December, with Dominic and the Judgment Day getting banned, so nobody helps Liv. Gotcha, Spider-Boss. I remember that. Razar says, I think it's fair that Tony extended the contract, especially considering how open a secret it was. I've already read that one. Do apologise. KJ says, does Penta come to WWE or wait for Fenix to come together? More on that shortly. Corey says, not sure. I almost think TK blew up the WWE deal. Dylan says, when do you see Jimmy making his return? A lot of people are saying he's returning at Bad Blood. I personally see him returning relatively close to Survivor Series. Same. I don't necessarily see him at Bad Blood. I reckon that'll be a clean win. Sid says the YouTube stream is going perfect. Thank you very kindly, Sid. And Drive-By says, can you see Roman appearing on Raw anytime soon? Needs to get to Jay and possibly Sammy somehow before War Games. Yes, I do think that's going to be happening relatively soon as he goes on a recruitment drive. Shard Games says, should we expect Malachi's injury time to kick in as well? Him to WWE has been pretty much a foregone conclusion for a while now. Yes, we should. And in fact, that's something I want to address right now. Corey, I'll come back to that in just one moment. Malachi Black is coming home. Malachi Black has not been happy in AEW for a while now. I've been reporting on this one for a while. Raj Giri has now reported that Malachi Black's contract does not last for 3 years. He himself told me that it did. It in fact only lasts until February, which is not long at all. Now there's always a potential that we keep going with the same thing that's happened on Rey Fenix and the contract is extended due to injury time. But I did say around last February that Malachi Black will be coming to WWE and it's only a matter of time. Malachi Black has his sights set on returning. Triple H is determined to get him back. Malachi Black will be returning to the WWE. Corey says, but Tom, TK has broken promise after promise. This can't be exactly goodwill. They were supposed to be an alternative. Currently, WWE is more ultra-friendly to the talent. They fail to see the big picture. I do think a number of the promises that AEW made when they first started have been broken. Promises about being an alternative in a business sense. Promises that connected them to people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, for example. Socialists believed that this would be a socialist company that allowed the wrestlers to grow, that allowed the wrestlers to take time off, that cared about workers' rights. And while there are elements of that, certainly, they're still not employees. They had the opportunity to fix things in a big way. There was a promise that women's wrestlers would be treated and paid equally to men's wrestlers. That was rolled back on fairly quickly as well. Now, there's a number of things that Tony Khan has kept together and kept going, and I do think AEW still has a lot of good happening in it. But broken promises are broken promises. And when you state in your mission statement things like, we're going to be different, we're going to treat our people differently, and then you do not deliver, it does affect the locker room. It does. That said, most of them were looking to get out anyway. Sid says there's a kid video on YouTube that has got 180 million viewers. Not a surprise, some things really go. Ed says road to 1 million views. Oh, dear Ed. And Villain says, why are some of the returns staggered? For example, Alex and Jimmy. Is it more creative or Triple H taking his time with storytelling? Both. Is why these have staggered, because they wait for creative. Also, Corey, just want to say once again, thank you for another very generous donation. Wanted to take a moment to get through the news, but also very much want to say that once again, you are in many ways funding the operation at the moment. I'm very grateful. I never want you to feel like you have to. I just want to be very clear on that. I'm very grateful. Thank you very kindly. You do not need to be as forthcoming as you are. Please do not spend money that you could use for yourself. Just to be clear, I don't need money. I will definitely use it, and I am very appreciative of it, but I don't want you to put yourself out for me, if you get what I'm saying. I say that whenever someone donates twice in one stream. It's rarity, but it does happen. Oh, thank you. Alex says, hey Tom, how are you? Just to let you know, your audio has cut out 2 times for me. I don't know if it's just my end, but I thought I'd let you know. Appreciate that. Daz says, it's okay, my end, Tom, on YouTube. I mean, appreciate that as well, Daz. Can anyone confirm what Alad has said there? Have we got any issues with the audio? If you have, please let me know. Daz says, what time will Bad Blood start in the UK, Tom? I believe the show starts at 11 p.m. in the UK, which means by 2 p.m. it'll be over and I can go to bed. KJ says, wait, who's going to WWE to 100% according to someone in the chat? I missed it. According to someone in the chat, Pentagon Jr. He's going to 100% to WWE. But to be fair, that's something we've been confident of for a while. Calvin says, if Wade Barrett returns to the ring, how do you see his storytelling being set up? See Drew McIntyre punching him in the face and Wade Barrett not taking it. Cecil says, I feel like the Wyatt Six is reaching out to Braun, but I feel like he wants to join. Maybe they'll protect him from afar. If that's the case, they need to wait until he's finished with the person he's working with. Juan says, according to Mercedes Money herself, looks she's taken my suggestion. She wants to bring Nicki Minaj to AEW. Just quickly on the Braun Strowman thing. Bronson Reed is waiting for Seth Rollins, which then frees up Braun Strowman to potentially work with Wyatt Six, which then, after that's done, potentially frees up the Wyatt Six to work with Alexa Bliss. Lot going on. Possibly Corey, we'll see how it plays out. Aaron says, to clarify, the Ricky I meant when asking about consideration for a contract, not Ricky Starks. I meant the Ricky that KO stunned. Right, thank you, Aaron. Thank you for clarifying, because I've got something on Ricky Starks, yeah. Dylan says, do you think the Netflix documentary for Vince McMahon might damage the deal with WWE going forward? No. Marcel says, will he return as Malachi or Alistair? Not sure on that one. I suspect it'll be Alistair. Drive-by says, will you do a watch party for Bad Blood? Yes, I will. I will be live for the entirety of the show and probably and then some. So we'll actually be live a little bit after it as well. What I will be doing, as I've mentioned, is working with the shorts as well to see how we can go there. The watch parties will only be happening for the PLEs. And I do need to see how much interest there is in them, because at some point I do have to consider the possibility that it might be more worth my time to create videos, shorts and the like while watching the show instead of being live. So just be aware on that one. Dylan says the audio keeps cutting out his end. One says I'm hearing static, you're kind of going out. Cora says no worries, love the content, just not feeling AEW. Fair enough, mate. So Gemma says I think your audio has a problem, it's cut out a few times. Okay. Game also getting audio issues. Wow, okay. Bear with, I'm going to reconnect the audio and just double check and see if there are any problems with the microphone. Bear with just 1 second. Now you might still be able to hear me, but it won't be as good quality. This is the audio that comes through the actual webcam. Switching back now. And that is a reset of my stereo line, which is now going separately, which is good. It means I'm getting stereo audio. Hopefully that fixes it, that reset there. If not, let me know. Thank you. Gotcha, KJ. KJ says, did WWE tamper with Lucha Brothers? Hard to say. If anything, you kind of have to blame the Lucha Brothers for that one. Calvin says, Nicki Minaj on AEW Dynamite, so here for that. Thank you, Cecil. Appreciate it. Michael says, Malachi's character fits better in WWE than AEW. And Spiderboss says, I was watching the stream and then the stream disappeared, so I have to enter on Twitch again. Yes, there's been problems with the audio. Just going to shut a couple of things down just to double check and make sure. That's that gone. That's that gone. I usually do this ahead of time. That's Steam closed because I'm not playing Football Manager at the moment. And that is Discord gone. So that should free up anything potentially there. I do need to upgrade this PC as I keep going, but it is what it is for that one. Thank you, Marcel. Appreciate that. Couple more bits of news to share. Firstly, on Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks, I can confirm, has asked for his release and it has been denied. Miro also looks set to be denied his release as Tony Khan attempts to keep his talent for as long as possible away from WWE. There is, it looks like, a potential rush of people who are looking for and asking to leave AEW and go to WWE. It is believed that the work that the Lucha Brothers are doing at the moment, potentially looking to move to WWE, is starting to have a bit of an extra appeal. Tony Khan was also reacting to things that are happening backstage, including conversations about why they're leaving and what they're intending to do. The Lucha Brothers did make their plans very clear, and that's how the news got out. At this point in time, no signatures have happened. Ricky Starks and Miro have not been granted their release. Spiderboss says House of Black on AEW is working well until they lost the trio titles last year, then things have gone downhill for House of Black. Honestly, losing Julia Hart. Hector says, what's your opinion on Mox beating Darby for a spot at WrestleDream? Feels like they pivoted last minute because it felt like it was Darby's spot permanently for a long time. I believe they did indeed, yes. Mary says, want to say how much I enjoy your videos. Thank you very much, Tom. I appreciate all the time you put into your content. Thank you, Mary. I do work pretty hard on this. I do a lot of research that doesn't necessarily get recognized because it's impossible to know how much research is involved. I work very hard to make sure that I'm credible, and hopefully to everyone here you recognize that I am. And there will always be moments where there is debate on my reporting. We sometimes do get trolls, naturally, but for me, the only people who matter are the people who are in the room, the people who watch the videos, the people who actually come here, watch the shows, and know what I report. So we're growing at a great rate right now, though a large part of that is, of course, shorts, and you will note that it isn't necessarily meaning the live shows are going at a particularly high pace. But as you know, when I upload a short and someone sees it while I'm live, that does mean it's advertised to them. And I'm getting more views because of that. You can literally see on my video several hundred views coming via the shorts feed. So that's obviously very good news as well and really helping us to grow. People are finding what we're doing here. Now, the next big step for that will, of course, be Bad Blood, when I'll still be sharing plenty of shorts, plenty of people will be seeing them, and I'm live as well for a number of hours. But that's one of the reasons I definitely still want to go live. Calvin says, Fury versus Waller Street Fight at Survivor Series might indeed still be too early. Ed says, Tom is the best. Tom is number one. Thank you, Ed. Appreciate you. And now Ed says, do you know how much time is left on Ricky Stark's contract? I don't, unfortunately. I don't have that information. Michael says, gotta say, I don't want Mox as champion. Been there, done that already. Enough for a little while longer. And Spiderboss says, it's good to see Bryan Danielson versus Moxley at WrestleDream, but at the same time, I think it was time for Darby to win the AEW World title. One last piece of news. A 2-night SummerSlam is coming in 2025, sooner than Triple H initially reported, as first reported by me on Twitter. 2-night SummerSlams going forward. The Royal Rumble will be next, likely. People were not happy way back when I announced that, when I said that 2025 would also feature a 2-night SummerSlam and the SummerSlam will be 2 nights going forwards, because they hadn't officially announced it before I said so. I remember that being enjoyably awkward. You may know I also retweeted what I was saying about Malachi Black earlier today. Shah Game says, I for one applaud Tony on not releasing wrestlers and just keeping them at home. Now we can all stop pretending he's pro wrestler and that he simply wants to one-up WWE. Calvin also wants to see Darby as a world champion. Dylan says, now SummerSlam is going to be 2 nights. When do you see the Royal Rumble, the Survivor Series going 2 nights? Probably not going to happen, but when do you see maybe Money in the Bank? I don't see Money in the Bank. For Survivor Series, I also don't see that. But for the Royal Rumble, I suspect that will be 26, 27. It's not the easiest thing to really make happen. Now, I am going to do a thing. I'm going to do a redirect. It's a while since we've done that. And I'm going to go over to Olay. Now, our local establishment is something that many of you will be aware of. I appear on there every now and then, and I do hope that you guys are tuning in for that. But it's also a little company that Ed works with quite extensively, as well as Lauren, who many of you will be aware of from Discord, from this chat, and genuinely from my Twitter. So I'm going to do a redirect. They're live now, so I want to send people over there, and I will, of course, be checking it out as well. Olay, etc. In the meantime, I am going to call it there. I've been Tom Colohue. You've been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.